Alright, this is a video response to the Insane Game Manics video about villains and villainy. Basically talking about villains from both sides of the pond, comic books, cartoons, anime, manga, anything. Villains have changed. It used to be there was a black and white. You were either good or you were evil. Nowadays, there's a shade of gray. And that's very important. That's going to be I'm going to say that a lot throughout this video because shades of gray is where everything is now. Villains weren't so sophisticated like they are now. The writers and creators have decided, you know what, we got to give these villains backgrounds. We got to give the villains a little bit more pump to them, if you want to call it that. A little bit more, I don't know, personality, because there's two type of villains, and a lot of people have said this. There's the Joker, who's crazy and fun to watch, and then there's Dr. Doom, who has a certain kind of code of morals, but he's still evil. Those are the big distinctions between the type of villains there are nowadays. There's the Joker and there's the Dr. Doom types, or the Magnetos, the villains with the cause, or like you said in your video, justified villains. I personally like my villains with a little bit of character to them. I like bastard type villains like Crocodile from One Piece, Lex Luthor from Superman. Let's see, used to be the Green Goblin until they kind of did what they did with him now in the current comics. Frieza from Dragon Ball, he was a bastard. Those type of villains I really like, but I do like the crazy, insane villains like Joker, or let's see, trying to think off the top of my head here. Joker, Loki. Loki's one of those type of villains. Although Loki is a little bit more of a magnificent bastard, so he's kind of the guy who plans everything out before he does it, and he always ends up owning people, but he also gets owned himself. And like you said, like guys like Aizen, I will agree, are annoying. They're just annoying. They just talk. They do all these lame ass monologues, and they don't really seem like villains. They just seem annoying. But like I said, villains have definitely changed from being black and white, from going to good and evil to shades of gray. And I'm going to mention heroes in here too, because back in the day, it was usually heroes didn't kill. That was the one rule about heroes. Only a couple of characters killed. But for the most part, heroes had that whole code of honor thing. We do not kill. We just put them in jail or what have you. Goku's like that. Superman, Batman, those type of characters. They don't believe in killing. They believe that there's a good in everyone. There's a good side to everything, and we should give them a chance. But that has changed recently because the villains are getting more and more darker. They're getting more and more edgier. The writers are trying to make the villains they're trying to push the villains to the limit. They want to see how far can we go? How violent can we make them? What can we make them do to really make the readers and the audience go, "Oh shit, I can't believe he actually did that." They're just trying to push the bar. Case in point, Mark Millar. He's an American comic book writer. He created a villain called Nemesis, he's basically a Joker if Joker had Batman's abilities. And that guy is freaking crazy. He just likes to fuck with people. He likes to blow up buildings, terrorism, anything he can to get over on anyone. And that old comic, Nemesis, is basically about pushing the villain to the limit. How far can this guy go? And he just won't stop. It's like, God, some of the times I even cringe. I'm like, man, that's really pushing it. I mean, I know that it's a mature book, it's for mature readers, but it's like, God, these guys really, they're not kidding around. You know, rape scenes, um, you know, anything they can to make the audience just go, wow, shock value. That's basically what they're trying to do nowadays, shock value. And also, they're trying to give villains backstories. You know, they've always said now, they've been saying now that every villain in their mind is a good guy. What they're doing in their mind is the right thing. What Joker does is the right thing according to Joker, you know, because in his mind he's the good guy and Batman is the bad guy, you know. And a lot of times, I mean, that's a good way of telling a story, depending on who the writer is and stuff like that. But it just seems nowadays they want villains to be some more sophisticated, and they want them to have a shade of gray to them. They want you to somehow have sympathy for these characters, but that's really not possible, especially when they're trying to push the bar. It's like, why should I have sympathy for a guy who's a rapist? You know, it's like, forget that. I don't have sympathy for that type of guy. Another villain, Batman villain, Two-Face. Now, he's a villain I can sympathize with because Two-Face really was an accident. What happened to him, what happened to Harvey Dent was a very bad accident, you know. And, you know, half his face got burnt. I mean, before that, even before that, though, he had some kind of mental problems. He had schizophrenic problems. You know, the guy was a little bit edgy. And when that accident happened, it just drove him mad. And became the villain Two-Face. Mr. Freeze. I know I'm saying a lot of Batman villains, but Mr. Freeze, look at him. You know, it used to be the reason he did what he did because his wife, you know, he wanted to find a cure for his wife. You know, that whole accident, what happened to him, and he just went mad, man. Villains are not what they used to be. Very rarely do you see those really psychotic villains that don't have any background, as to say. They have a lot of personality, crazy as hell, like the villain from Monster, the anime Monster. Guy is crazy as hell. Villains like that I do like. They are really out there and they're fun to read about. They're fun to write, but I don't feel any sympathy for them because they're just really crazy and psychotic, and they'll do whatever it takes to get a thrill, you know. So, like I said, everything is in shades of gray. I mean, the heroes are even changing now. Heroes kill now. That didn't used to happen before. The heroes, I'm not just talking about in comic books. I'm talking about anime, manga. Heroes will kill nowadays. They don't care. They feel a villain needs to be taken down, they will take them down. And sometimes it needs to happen in my book. I mean, sometimes, you know, characters like some characters are just not going to change. Like Frieza was not going to change. You know, his body was chopped in half. Goku gave him another chance. He said, Frieza, stop this. Stop all this madness. And Goku was going to let him go. Turned his back. Frieza tried to hit him with another energy blast. Goku said, you know what? Forget this. I'm blowing this guy away. I know Frieza came back and all that as Meta Frieza, but still, it just proves, even when he came back, he was not willing to change. In his mind, there's only the strong, there's only the weak. Makoto Shishio from Rurouni Kenshin, he has the same ideals. The strong live and the weak die. And in his case, he died, you know. He died by his own philosophy. Hey, the guy had a skin condition. He was burned. When it came down to it, his sweat glands burned up, and the guy laughed. He was laughing while he was burning, dying. I mean, he died evil. There was no change in that guy. So, and those villains are just really, really charismatic, and they're really fun to watch. So, all I have to say is, in response to your video, Insane Game Manic, Villains are just gray now. They're not what they used to be. And I do agree. I am kind of getting sick of them giving villains. They build them up. Like I know Naruto does this a lot. They build their villains up, and then they end up don't being villains like Itachi. I really hated Itachi for what he did. He committed genocide. He killed his entire clan, the Uchiha clan. And then it turns out the Leaf Village ordered him to do that. But still, the fact, I mean, I understand that yes, a ninja always follows his orders. He always delivers on his end, so to speak. But the guy didn't have to commit genocide on his own people. I wouldn't have done it. If they would have given me an order and said, hey, kill all your people, and it'd be better for us. Hell no. No, I don't care. If that meant I had to be banished from the village, then so be it. You know? Pain. Like you said in your video, Pain. He had a bad past. Basically, what he did, he had a bad past. He was treated the wrong way and stuff like that. And his whole thing was, he believed that God, he was a god, and that this world needed to be ruled by a god, so to speak. But in the end, he was just a guy who was treated wrong. You know, stuff like that. I don't mind if they do that for like one villain, but it seems to be they've been, especially in Naruto, they do that for like every villain. Every villain has like this sort of reason for what they're doing. I mean, of course they're gonna have a motivation and stuff like that, but their reason is, hey, we were treated wrong. They did bad stuff to us, so we should do bad stuff back to other people. You know, that's pretty much what their villains are now in Naruto. I don't know. And we're gonna see a lot more of this. I mean, they're gonna be doing a lot more of this with villains. I mean, giving them backstories like that. And I guess the crazy and psychotic villains are kind of phasing out. And I'd like to see more of them. But anyway, that's all I have to say on this subject. Good video, Insane Game Manic. Check the link in the bottom to his page will be there, and I'll try to put an annotation in the video if I can. Check his page out. He also has another page, the Game Manic. Check that one out as well. And I will leave it at that.